Good afternoon. Welcome to Aging Experts. I have a special guest today. We have been so busy interviewing other people about how they sculpted, how they formulated the second half of their life. And Barbara and I were talking the other day, and I heard her telling her story to somebody else. I knew her story or a lot of it. And I thought, we've never interviewed each other. So today
Yeah.
we're going to interview Barbara. And as you know, she is my wonderful co-host, but today she's not co-hosting. She is a guest. And so we're going to get to hear her story. She's alluded to it in different videos, but now you get to hear how she got from where she was to where she is now. And so
Yeah.
I'm probably going to interrupt her and ask questions because you know how we bunny trail.
Absolutely.
But Barbara, tell us a little bit about your background and growing up in Canada and all of that. So,
Well, number one, this is such a fun thing. I mean, when you first suggested it, I was like, what? But you know what? But then we were talking about just we all have a story.
yeah.
And so much of our stories we either forget about or we lose it or we don't think to share where we've come from. And for
Exactly.
myself, I was born and raised in Montreal. I now live near Chicago. But I was brought up in a very traditional type of family, which was very cool. And I had loving parents. I had a what I think great childhood. Of course, you always think, oh brother, I could have had this, could have been better. But we all had those things. However, now looking back, I realized that I was kind of a little bit of a round peg in a square hole. And it wasn't until, and then so I got married when I was 21. Well, unfortunately, that marriage ended in divorce. But then I got married again and thought that was going to be the greatest thing ever. Well, my husband passed away 11 years ago. And once I came out of that widow's fog, I realized in that moment that I woke up and I went, okay, now what? And the thing was, I had no idea. I knew what I didn't want, but I didn't know what I did want. And what I realized the main thing was that I had no idea of who I was outside of all the labels that I had put on myself, that I had taken on, being a daughter, and then being a wife, and then being a mother, and then being a divorced failure, and then being a success again because I got married again, and then I was a grandmother, and now I'm a widow. Who was Barbara in all of that?
Okay,
And
hold
Carol,
on.
I have to tell you, it still makes me cry.
I want to tell everybody, stop and think. Take a minute here. Get your pencil and paper if you have to, and start thinking about your journey. Where were your
Yeah.
phases? What were your phases? So take this in, learn and glean from what she has to say, because this woman's got some wisdom. Okay, now
Oh,
that now
thank
that
you.
I've made you all fluffy, push
Yeah.
the head back down.
The thing was, it's in that moment, and this is one of the things that I want to share with the audience, is that in that moment, it can be absolutely the scariest moment of your life
Mhm.
because you have to, right at the moment, you have to make a decision. And sometimes making the decision is the hardest part because you have to decide right then, are you willing to do the work to change where you are? And it was like, oh, how am I going to do that?
Mhm.
I knew, because as I said, I knew what I didn't want, but I had no idea what I did want or how to find it. The thing is, though, I think once you become open, okay, what now? Be open to the universe. Be open for me was to be open to the Holy Spirit leading. But whatever your higher force is, or your intuition, your gut feeling, be open to that. And one day the phone rang and I got this message that, hey, would you be interested in doing online marketing? What? I've never in my life done online marketing, but it was so different than anything else that I had ever done. I was like, you know what? Sure. Why not? Let's try something completely new. Let's learn a new skill. Let's learn something. Well, from that, I went into a group called, I'll give them a plug, which I think I have before, but The Ultimate Game of Life, Jim Bunch. Well, there I met one of my best girlfriends, and we were both widows. So we had so much in common, and we were both in the same boat. All right, how do we reinvent ourselves? And what are we going to do? And it has been that journey now is what I now teach people. And that's how I came to becoming a transformational life trainer. I know what it's like to not know who you are and to know who you are within what you do. I didn't know who I was inside of being a woman and being a business owner. So many people come into, they don't know who they are outside of their job title or their job description.
And I want to put a little something in there. I heard a teaching yesterday that kind of rocked my boat. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say everybody, but most of us have heard about the gentleman at the pool of Siloam in the Bible, where the angel would wiggle the water and they would pop in, whoever was first would get healed. Well, Jesus walked up to him and basically said, what do you want? And he goes, well, I don't have anybody to help me. Number one, he's blaming other people because they're not there to help him.
Right.
And the area that I'd not really thought about is he had been there 35, 38 years, something like that.
35 years.
A long time. His friends were there. All of his friends were disabled. All of his friends, gave their organ recital in the mornings, how did you sleep? Oh, I didn't sleep good. Okay.
Right.
But Jesus said, do you want to be healed? And then he gave us excuses. But this person brought out something I'd never thought about it. To change, you have to want to change, but there's a walk that you walk to change. Okay. Number one, he was living, let's say he's on disability. He's living on Social Security.
Right.
So he has an income.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what all they had back then, but somebody was taking care of him that he could live.
His needs were being met.
His needs were being met. His rent was being paid. His food was being provided. His friends were there. They all had all this in common. And to be healed, he had to walk away from all that. How many people know? And I mean, I'm in the nutritional area. I try to help people to walk through upping their nutrition IQ and getting off of prescription medications and stuff. And people go, well, my insurance pays for it, so it's free.
Exactly.
That's not health. It's just a pill to cover up the symptoms, but that's not health. That's not vibrancy. So are you willing to make
that's not thriving?
That's not thriving. It's like, are you willing to make a difference? Are you willing to go out and find new friends, a new community that's going to uplift you instead of pulling you down with them? So kind of think about that as Barbara talks, because, when she divorced, she had to walk away from some friends. When David died, there were people that were no longer, not that they weren't friends, but they were no longer in community and closeness that they were. She lost some friends. And so she had to go find a new community with like faith, like, outlooks. Because you can have a great faith community, they're still sick. What is it? This one girl says, broke, busted, and disgusted.
Right.
Be in charge,
Exactly.
but you know, you don't
Right.
want to be
Right.
with those type people or you're going to be doing this. So anyway, I just wanted to put that in because that
Right.
totally it rocked my world because I'd never really thought about that. And, you know, for those of y'all that know my
Right.
story, my husband was on disability for 25 years before we finally got him healthy enough that he went off. But, you know,
Right.
yeah, I've had a lot of people go, well, you can get me healthy, but don't take away this disease because that's what my disability is tied to.
Right. Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
I want to be a little bit healthy, but one more night with the frogs, Lord. Just give me one more night with the frogs, and I'll tell you what I want
Right.
to do.
Right. And and so often people say, oh, well, just because of what you said. Oh, well, Medicare pays for that or insurance pays for that. Well, you know what? I'm at the point now where I'm earning income I am being paid to get well.
Amen. Amen. Pay
And
to be healthy.
and then I'm getting paid to be healthy. And it will get to the point where I don't care if I have Medicare or not, I'll give it back to the government, you know?
Well, I won't ever give it back to the government, but I may give it
I
somewhere
don't, well, no, but
else.
but you're not
Yeah,
relying on it, that's your only source of income,
right.
and that's one of the things that I love about what I can do is like, because for myself, once I realized that my mission was, I'm on a mission to make happiness the norm rather than the exception. And I am looking, so now I look for baby boomers this is what I am, that's my generation. I'm looking for baby boomers who want to have happy, healthy, financially free, abundant lives.
Yes.
If that's you, I'm your girl. If you're willing to not have that in any of those areas of your life, well, you know what? That's the choice that we all get to make.
Yes.
And I am not going to browbeat you or condemn you or judge you if that's where you are. That's okay, because we all have our choices to make. However, I'm also a firm believer in reaching down and saying, hey, you know what? Would you like something different? And if somebody says, yeah, I want something different, then great, let's chat. And
Yes.
that's all it is.
And
And
the
I
thing
look back,
is we may
so
come back 2 or 3 times. So we may keep asking, not every day. We
right.
don't want to be pests, but
No,
you know, if I had not
no,
kept asking Barbara, you know, we would have still
right.
been co-hosts. We would have still been doing what we do, but she wouldn't be as healthy as vibrant as she is.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly. I look back and go, and lots of times it's just timing. And just because somebody isn't ready right now, and if you're not ready right now, hey, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up for it. You're just not ready. But you know what? Life can change on a dime.
Yes.
Life can change in an instant.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to Carol and I. Carol happened to call me and said, Barb, I've got this new thing that you need to take a look at. Well, I've been in the wellness space for over 30 years. So I've supplemented my diet since the time I was 12. So when Carol just said, oh, Barb, I've got something new for you to try, I was like, okay, fine. Yeah, one more thing I'm going to try in a long list of thousands of things that I had already tried. And it was
Knowing in
just
her head
timing.
she wasn't
It
going to
was in
do
between,
anything.
and was not, and I was never going to, I was not going to do anything with this. I was quite happy. I love being a coach and I love helping people transform their thinking, their mindset, and how they feel about things. But I had no intention of talking to people about wellness anymore. It just wasn't, I wasn't going to be there anymore. Well, now, how can I not?
Well, and
Because
it
you know what it
started
says in
with
the
you just
Bible that,
putting it in your body. It
and
started with
putting it
you.
for myself,
Yeah. Yeah.
right, for myself. But it says in the Bible that Jesus came that we might have life and have it in abundance. Well, abundance of health is,
Yeah.
it impacts everything.
Yes.
Your abundance within your health affects absolutely every other area of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have your health to the nth degree that you are vibrating with thrive, then looking at something new might be on your plate. Should not be on your plate right away, but at least be on your radar.
It should be on the stove
That you might be
at
open
least.
to hearing. It should be on a slow cooker.
Yeah.
Just saying, because it's changed my life. I feel better now in my 70s than I did in my 40s, and I'm so grateful. And the new things, yes, I thank her all the time. Oh, I told you lately how glad I am that you talked me into this. However, one of the things that I do want to say with that is that you never know when the right person is going to come along. And as I said, just have your radar out that, hey, I'm looking for something for this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do you have a headache? I mean, does your back hurt all the time? Does whatever? Are you losing sleep? Are you lying in bed at night because you're worried about your finances?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what it is, but if you are not thriving in your life, then there's room for improvement.
Exactly.
And that's all we're saying.
Yeah.
Let's give your life a little facelift. And boy, let me tell you, collagen gives your facelift a facelift. So I love it.
The other thing too is she's getting to do things. She's meeting new people. She's traveling.
Yeah.
Let's see, riding in helicopters. That was a first, wasn't it?
Yes.
Dune
Yep, that was the
buggies
first.
across the sands in this wonderful
Yep.
Jeep Rubicon going literally sideways through the dunes with Lightning McQueen music going.
Yep.
Let's see, what other firsts did you have that?
Oh, all sorts of things. But one of my next first is I want to go skydiving.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to push me out of the plane, absolutely. However, I want to do it.
I'll go jump. We
I mean,
do that
another first for us, we drove into a lake. Literally drove into a lake
2 times,
and we were going along the lake. It was very cool. Let's have some adventures. One of the things though, that the biggest thing for me is, like, as I said, I've been in the wellness space for 30 plus years. Now, finally, the science of nutrition, the science technology is now caught up with what we've been saying for 30 years. Now we have the technology and the science of nutrition to prove what we're saying, that we've been saying. And that everybody, when I first got into wellness, it was, oh, the poo-poo. Oh yeah, you're into that woo-woo stuff. Yeah, well, now it's not woo-woo anymore. It's black and white. And it's rocking the world.
Yes. Well, and the baby boomers, we are not going silently into the night.
We are not going silently.
I look at our grandparents, that generation, and they wore the black or the navy blue dresses, or my grandmother did. They had the white hair, which I still don't have gray. I mean, I truly don't have gray. Barbara's done my hair before.
I do have,
yeah. And
yet I started turning white at 17.
Right. The guy I dated in high school was gray, Yeah, he turned early. But
now I have to admit that so many people have told me that my white hair makes me look younger.
Yeah. Well, think about these women that still have their hair dark at our age. Your color over your whole body fades as you age. The eye color, the eyebrow, the hair, all of it. And so we as women get to kind of spice that up a little. But it does. And so when you have black dark hair at 70 and 80, unless you're Ronald Reagan, and his was natural, by the way, but unless you're someone like him that does not gray.
Right. My girlfriend Mary is exactly 10 years older than me. She has not, I think she's got maybe 3 gray hairs in her head. All the time, whenever I'm doing her hair, it's like, Mary, you still have no gray. You still have no gray. And she's in her 80s and no gray hair. I'm like, how did you do that? Well, heaven knows it was just not God's plan. And here was me. I started turning white at 17. I had this white, just of pure white at 17.
Well,
oh, well.
Barbara
You
has
know?
found her niche. I'm going to tell on her.
Yeah.
Even as a child, she wanted to be a teacher. Went to school to be a teacher. Went to do her student teaching and said, oh, no.
Oh, this was awful. I hated it.
So,
Hated it.
yeah, but what is she doing now? She's teaching.
Yeah.
She's coaching. I mean,
Yeah.
all of that is a form of teaching. She's doing
Right.
multiple podcasts, the 3 we do together, and 2 others. So she's giving out. So what I want to do is kind of bring this back in. If you don't know what you need to do, ask God. Visit one of us. We'll kind of help to guide you through some ways to find out what you need to be doing, because it's imperative. Those that are in their second half of life, and I always say you don't know when that second half is starting. None of us do.
Exactly.
Start at 6, but those that know you're in your second half of life, you have a wealth of knowledge. And I saw a picture today. It's like when an older person dies, you've lost a library. So think about the women on the prairie, the things they knew, the health things they knew, the ways to, garden, to cook, to heal wounds that have been lost to us because we grew up with, oh, let's call the doctor, let's go get a pill. And that's how we grew up. So there's a library, there's a wealth of knowledge you have in you. So whether you start a podcast or start a blog, or just have the ladies in your in your neighborhood or in your church come teach them how to cook. These they don't even have home ec classes in schools nowadays. So these girls are coming in thinking that McDonald's is fine dining. And I'm sorry, that's just not the truth. So, let's start giving back to this wonderful world that we live in some of what it's given us. Let's pay it forward.
Well, let's pay it forward. And one of the things for me that, back to a little bit of my journey, when I was really searching for who I was, I became a personality science trainer. And I had to do in-depth assessments of what was my personality. And that was such an eye-opener start of my journey, because it put me in touch with, oh, that's why I'm good at that. Oh, that's why I'm not good at that. Oh, why am I trying to do that? That's not what I'm good at. So one of the biggest things was, and this is where it starts, is quit beating yourself up for the things that you are not. Let's celebrate the things that you are and how you can use the things that you are. Are you a good cook? Are you a good baker? Are you a good electrician? Are you a woodworker? Are you whatever, fill in the blank? Because there is someone out there that wants to learn what you have to teach.
Yeah. And it may be that you're
let's get it out there.
You may love kids.
Right.
You may love kids. And so don't let those gifts and think back. You can think back to your childhood of what did you love back then before you were tated? Yeah. Because Barbara, for instance, had parents and sisters that said, oh, good girls don't do that. Good girls don't live that way. And not bad things. Good girls don't wear a red lipstick. No. Good girls don't own business. They were very, regimented, which was
traditional.
Traditional. But Barbara didn't fit. And she's found so much joy and fulfillment in getting out of that mold that
Right.
was put on her. I'm an only child, so I had, perfectionism drilled into my very
Exactly.
core. My dad was a perfectionist. He was very much a perfectionist, German background, and my mom was a school teacher. I couldn't get away from anything. So so I had my own, so whether you have a big family
Right.
or a little family, it is important that you find who you are. So,
Right. And who are you within what you do?
yes.
And if you are not doing the thing that lights your soul, then find the thing that does.
Yes.
Because so often people get stuck in a job, a career, in a box, in a family business, whatever you want to call it. And it's like they are wilting every day.
Yes. Yes.
And then they're coming to retirement and they have no idea who they are outside of their job title or their job description.
Yeah. And so then
And then so
when they
they're
retire, they're
retiring
sad and
and they don't know
depressed.
how to handle retirement.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're sad, they're depressed, they're not doing anything, and they're dying.
Yes. So we don't
Statistically,
want that to
within
be you.
18 months, 24 months.
Yeah. We want you to
So reach
proudly
out to
live
us.
to your next level. So if you
Right.
have any questions, put notes in the chat. Tell us what you want to know about.
Yes.
And don't forget
Yeah.
to go subscribe, ring the bell on our new YouTube channel, Mavens of
Yes.
Motivation. You can find all of our shows up there on the different playlists. So please go there and share it out to your friends. Share this platform out to your friends. We love talking to y'all and bringing good stuff.
Yes.
And hopefully it's helpful stuff to each of you.
Right.
So
Yes. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.
spiral up. Bye.
Hello. Bye, everybody.